Hi, this case study will pick up right where the very first case study left off. So if you haven't watched the first case study where we analyzed a whole cash wholesale deal where your wholesale buyer will rehab and flip the property, you should watch that case study first. In this case study, we're going to analyze a scenario where your wholesale buyer has a different exit strategy. Instead of selling the property, he refinances it and keeps it in his rental portfolio. So we're going to use the same sample deal that we looked at. So just to quickly recap the first case study, we looked at a single family home, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. The asking price was $62,000. Rehab to sell it was $15,000. After repair value is $100,000, and your buyer's cost basis must be no more than 70% of after repair value, after renovations, closing, holding costs, and your wholesale fee. So if you remember, we first went to our offer calculator and determined that based on these numbers, the most you could afford to pay your motivated seller was $45,920 in order to make the deal work for your wholesale buyer. So if you paid your seller $45,920, charged a $7,000 assignment fee to your wholesale buyer's cost basis after $15,000 in repairs, 2% closing costs, and $1,000 in holding costs would be $70,000, which is 70% of $100,000. And we also saw that in the numbers here. And I showed you how to create a marketing sheet for a flip scenario for your wholesale buyers. But what if your wholesale buyer wants to evaluate a strategy where he will do the same renovations to the property, but instead of selling it, will refinance it, get it reappraised, and refinance it into his rental portfolio? Well, you've already got all of your numbers entered here. Again, if this is unclear, watch the first case study. But if you want to evaluate the second exit strategy, you go click this button, Show Second Exit Strategy. And now you need to enter a rehab budget for this exit strategy. In this case, we're assuming that it will be the same, $15,000. And we'll assume the same rehab period because it's just cosmetics, so we'll assume 1 month. And after repair value is $100,000. Same as in this example. And your months to close in the refi, let's assume, because banks are pretty slow these days, we'll also assume 3 months. So the same numbers apply. Your buyer's cost basis, because it's an all-cash deal, will be right at $70,000, which is 70% of the after repair value. And let's assume your wholesale buyer can go and can get an 80% cash out refi loan. There is a lot of portfolio lenders in my area and all over the country that still do cash out refis, and they'll typically go between 65 and 80% LTV. So we're saying that the appraisal will be $100,000 and your wholesale buyer can get 80% of that as a loan. Mortgage rate of 6.5%. Let's assume it will be amortized over 20 years, and his various discount points and closing costs associated with this refi loan will be, let's say, 3%. Next, you go and you enter the projected rent of this property. Because it's a single family home, we'll assume that it rents for $1,050. And for simplicity's sake, we'll assume that there is no vacancy loss or management fees. Your wholesale buyer will manage the property themselves. So you click Return to Analysis, and then you're going to enter operating expenses. So if you're looking at this property, you probably know roughly what the property taxes are. Let's assume it's $120 a month. Or if you know, for example, that it's $1,200 a year, then you can just enter equals 1,200 divided by 12. And let's assume insurance will cost around $40, and repairs and maintenance will be another $50 a month. Click Return to Analysis. So here's your net operating income, $860. And given your mortgage payment, given your refi scenario, your mortgage payment or your wholesale buyer's mortgage payment will be $596 a month. New loan amount is $80,000, and after the 3% closing costs, your wholesale buyer will cash out $77,600. So $77,600 minus what he spent, which is $70,000, actually nets him a profit of $7,622 at closing. His return on investment, and this is annualized based on $70,000, he's actually making, just from this profit, he's making 32% on his money. Not only that, but your wholesale buyer has $0 of his cash tied up in the deal after the refi, and $20,000 in equity. How do we get this $20,000? The property appraises for $100,000. He gets a new loan for $80,000, so that leaves him $20,000 as equity left in the deal. His monthly cash flow is $264, and because he doesn't have any cash left in the deal, his cash on cash return is infinite. And this is a very typical deal for what I do and a lot of my friends and associates do. This is a pretty standard deal. And the numbers look pretty good. You've got no cash left. You write yourself a nice little check of $7,000 at closing, and you're cash flowing close to $300 a month. Now, here you've got a good sanity check. 1.44 is the debt coverage ratio of the loan based on the financing assumptions and based on your projected income and expense assumptions. Now, if you're wholesaling this property, you probably don't know enough to make these assumptions for your wholesale buyer. But you know what you can do? If you've got a good relationship with your wholesale buyer, you can call them and say, hey, Bob, I know you're keeping stuff in your rental portfolio. What type of refi loan are you getting or are you looking at these days? Oh, 80%? Okay, what kind of rate? Okay, and are you looking to cash out your entire investment, or are you okay with leaving money in the deal? You need to get all of your money out. Okay, now I know how to look at deals, and I know how to figure out whether a deal meets your investment criteria. So once you figure out what his investment criteria is, you can plug your numbers in, make sure the deal fits, and then from here you can go click View Reports and create a one-page marketing sheet for a refi scenario. So your headline goes here, and we can write great deal on a brick rancher at 70% ARV. Okay? To change this information, you just click Update Info, and you can enter property description, property name, address, bedrooms, baths, square feet, year built, and then all of your contact information here. This makes you look really professional. Then you can enter property description here, so you can just write property needs cosmetics, paint, carpet, bath fixtures, etc. Located in a great area with good schools, fenced in yard, etc., etc., etc. Then all of the information here is populated for you, and I'll show you that in 1 second. But the other thing that you can do is you can go here and insert 2 pictures, and it's the easiest thing in the world. You click Insert Pics, and this is actually a house that I bought a few months ago. And you can insert 2 pictures here. Before, ugly red carpet, look at that. And you can enter captions here, all brick rancher with fenced in yard, large living room, needs new carpet. And actually, if you want, you can go View Reports, click Additional Pics, and on this page you can enter 8 more pictures. So you can have a 1-page or 2-page presentation, or there's actually a way to have a 4-page presentation, but that's for another case study. So, and from here, all you do is click Print Reports, select Marketing Sheet Refi Scenario, and hit Print Selected. And voila, you've got a 1-page marketing presentation. And so let's look at the numbers. You're showing your purchase and rehab assumptions. So the after repair value is $100,000. Purchase price to your wholesale buyer is $52,900. $15,000 in repairs, holding closing costs. Your wholesale buyer's cost basis will be $70,000, right at 70% of ARV. And then you're doing the math for your buyer, which nobody does, but man, imagine how good that would make you look. I mean, this is how you add value. Your projected new loan amount, $80,000 minus closing costs. Cash out of the refi, $77,600. $77,600 minus the $70,000 that he spent. He nets $7,600 in profit at refi. No cash left in the deal. $20,000 of equity left in the deal. So overall, he makes 20 plus 7, $27,000. And then your buyer's cash flow from then on pre-tax will be $263 a month. Infinite cash and cash return. And here, by showing him that the DCR of the new loan will be 1.44, you're showing him that that's actually a realistic loan assumption, assuming a 6.5 rate and 20-year amortization. And if you're a rehabber yourself, you can send this property to your lender as part of your property package. And in the tutorials, and I'm going to do another case study where I actually show you how to put together a 4-page presentation to send to your bank. But from here, you just go print, and I've got QPDF Writer installed, and if I hit OK, it's going to give me a window where I just name the file and the directory, and it automatically saves it as a PDF document, and then you can just email it to anybody you want. And below this video, I'm actually going to put this presentation for you to download just to use as a sample. See, this window pops up. You can save it to whatever folder you want, and you can give it a name, and that's it. It's going to save it as a PDF document, and then you can just email it to everyone, to your entire wholesale buyer list if you want. All right, that's it for this case study. Thanks.